So is it 10 seconds from the start?
Good evening. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. Let me introduce Mr. BoomerRex himself.
Good evening.
Yeah, so
I'm a white, hetero, cisgender idiot. I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut due to, my just abounding...
Your entitlement.
Ever conditioned
privilege.
forward white privilege, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what makes me so angry at the, Patriot Front and the rest of the kids that... we were discussing earlier why... Even if I had the choice to go somewhere else, I wouldn't. That's why I have a hard time answering, what country would you visit? Nowhere, we're on fire. And I'm afraid I won't be allowed back in if they had any accurate assessment of me.
Well, I remember sitting in a bed and breakfast in Canada, right, during the 1968 Democratic Party National Convention when it looked like America was completely on fire.
Yeah, and you were going home.
And I was planning to go home. And all the Canadians are going, what's going on? What is this?
Having the fucking foggiest. I don't know what they're up in arms about. Again, the American people are probably the, palest variant of the Arab street. We don't need a reason to revolt. We need a place.
When we had come in from the U.S. So we go through
Sorry, we
U.S.
screwed up your intro and everything.
yeah, are you two dum-dums done screwing up my intro?
No,
yet?
probably not sick. I had an option to
So when we come through U.S. Customs, they're really, intrusive.
Yeah.
Because they just know that we're skipping to Canada to avoid the draft. And so we get to the Canadian side and we're asking, where to stay and stuff like that and where's good and so on. And the Canadians are going, go, they're taking pictures. So the Canadians were sure we were skipping into Canada to get away from the draft, which we weren't.
Right, it's why Carter let him back, though.
Yeah.
We would not have been happy with the brain drain and we'd have suffered there.
So now we're done screwing with your intro.
And
No, because the...
Apparently not.
I'm quiet now.
You're in reach. You should be very quiet.
And I am RisenLadyHeathen. Our goal is to give you this information from 3 different perspectives. Mr. Rex is, of course, a boomer. Asshole is a millennial. And they both eat, sleep, and breathe politics. I am a female millennial, and I'm learning about politics. We want to inform you, our listeners, on news and politics from each point of view from our little round table. Tonight we have a ton of info about asylums in the 1800s. But first, let's dig into our headlines. Tell me about space magnets.
I want to tell you about the round table that somebody keeps breathing their germs on. Lady wouldn't let us do a show. I nearly had us. We could have stolen the show. You, me, the cat. It would have been dope.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have been canceled instantly, but...
Yeah. So we won't do that.
Yeah, no. So, real news stories, go.
So I love it when whoever comes up with something they look at and go, what the fuck?
That's where all the interesting things have ever happened.
I know. So astronomers have a new what the fuck.
This is the lines?
They've known for several years that there were filaments that ran inside the Milky Way. They relatively
cracks in the simulation. Let's shoot a monkey.
They glow. Some of them are 150 light years long. So that's about as tall as the Milky Way is, right?
Long,
so these are narrow.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say they were cosmic rays with some sort of gravitic lensing effect or...
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Anyway.
I don't want to shoot a monkey into one.
Yep. So now we found a new way to take a series of very deep photographs, right?
Yeah.
And get rid of all the, standard stuff, galaxies and supernovas.
Oh, yeah,
and so
this part
forth.
was dope.
So there are 1,000 of these filaments. And, sometimes they run in it's like a little stack of French fries, all running together. And what we think we know is that they are relativistic electrons, right, that are running into things and making them light up and so forth. No idea why there's a filament of relativistic electrons. What?
Somebody opened the cooler.
Yeah, okay. They got out.
No, it's a flash of light, and they're like, oh shit, it's not done yet.
Yeah. So,
how
did it wind up in a filament?
It's the same, it's rotate by whatever to get the same effect that we use to make the Star Wars laser effects of running a light through a fan, but because of the uptake rate of the film, you see a stretched beam, not...
Anyway, so interesting. And what the fuck?
And I don't care, let's shoot a monkey into one. It's like the.
Well, it's kind of a long way, but yeah, let's go look.
What's the nearby object that keeps blinking at us every 18 minutes? Let's shoot a monkey into that. Or
I
yeah,
don't think
sure.
you want to be near that one
It's
when
gonna
it's
be a
shining
monkey
toward
skeleton.
us.
It's fine. Let's throw a rock at it. I'm the human that wants to be setting off nukes in space just to go eat at Joe's, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the other choice? Everyone listening very quietly? Cool.
No,
That's the dumbest universe, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we live in it because I've seen who's elected.
We have, for brief periods, sent messages out. So.
We scrawled in a bottle.
Yeah, we wrote
Was
on
it
a
the
record.
was it the biggest noise we could make? No, nukes.
No.
Nukes are the biggest noise we can make. Can anyone get me a jug full of antimatter?
Yeah, we can do
If
we
I
can
have
do
a jug
Morse
full of
code with
antimatter, I
nukes.
can get a fucking airship.
Okay, I think we wore that one out.
What, the airship?
No, the
Story?
filaments.
Yeah. No, I saw that and thought,
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, that's a bizarre skip in the record or whatever.
Yeah.
But also, like most things, too far away to really go and poke at with a stick.
Yeah.
All right. So we ready to move on?
Sure.
WinRed loses in court.
So let's remember who WinRed is, right? This is the group that was getting money from Republicans, and they had all the boxes pre-checked. Yes, I want to give monthly, or yes, I want to give weekly,
wow.
or yes, I want to give whenever a money bomb is declared.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had to return. We're
Here's
talking.
a fully signed and initialed contract. Just sign at the bottom,
Yeah.
please.
We anyway caused thousands and thousands and thousands of complaints about fraudulent transactions.
That was not the intention
They had to
of the
return.
consumer.
They had to return 10% of their ill-gotten gains.
Damn, they had a good lawyer.
Well, it's not over yet. They're still in court. So, but by comparison, the Biden campaign returned about 2%.
Yeah.
So,
No.
anyway, I was just glad to see that the court said, no, no, you don't get a summary judgment. You're going to go to trial.
I want to be more comfortable in my assumption the Biden people didn't have the same games.
They didn't.
Okay, cool.
Okay. No, this is really
yeah,
scummy.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's one thing of sending if you've ever had to fill out a contract recently and initial things, this is kind of fucking why.
Yeah.
Because we can't trust an ink signature or whatever.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Anyway, so they lost. One step closer to court for them.
Good.
Cool. So let's move on to Mayor Jean McGee banning books.
Yeah, well, I'm getting sick of book
hold on.
burners.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
This is the one that wants to cut off the funding?
Oh, there are lots of them.
Yeah, no, that's my thing. I'm thinking about the
Yeah.
Tennessee kids in Mouse. Is this Mouse? No.
Yes, but that happened today too, and yes, it would fall in this pile.
Okay, but a different place.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell
No,
one
this
book
is in
banning
Mississippi.
from another without a program.
This is in Mississippi, where Richland Mayor Green McGee is currently engaged in a budgetary standoff, and he's gonna deprive them of $100,000 in funding until they see all the LGBTQ and so forth books thrown out of the library.
This is the kind of shit I would cut off. What state is this?
Mississippi.
Mississippi
Oh,
from
in
the
Tennessee.
federal highway funding.
Williamson County Schools Committee also joined the censorship fold, imposing restrictions on several different books in light of conservative backlash.
The reason you cut them off from federal highway funding is it brought Nevada to its knees.
Yeah.
And Nevada has Vegas. I don't know what there is in Mississippi, but there
But it
is
ain't
no
Vegas.
whorehouse that pays out like Vegas.
Right.
Not saying it has to be whores, Mississippi. It's just, what's that? It's that and Cajun food.
Oh yeah, they're just banning books right and left, and of course, that's in a way its own punishment, right? Because their children are going to grow up without access to a range of stuff that other children will have had access to, and they're going to sit in a college classroom, and people are going to laugh at them.
The fucking Pope came out in favor of, if your kids tell you they're gay, support your kids.
Yeah.
And I get that the people who, they don't care because they're not Roman Catholics.
Yeah.
But,
So,
I...
Anyway, these were called into question by Williamson County chapter of Moms for Liberty. It's a right-wing group that advocates for
Yeah.
parents' rights. Anyway, the whole thing, I've had it, and we're going to talk about libraries for a second.
Oh yeah.
So here we have this stupid little bipedal grown-up monkey. Got no claws to speak of, got no fangs to speak of, just barely out of the goddamn cave, looks at a universe they don't even begin to understand,
Or perceive
and says,
with our bad little eyes.
I'm going to collect all the knowledge there is, and I'm going to pile it in one place. If you're looking for something that separates us from the other animals, something that makes us uniquely human, the library is it. Oh my God.
If you're looking to babble your monkey screeches at me and consecrate a word like holy, that's the kind of buildings I expect you to build armies around.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's worth defending.
That's what's better than
imagine
dying for the
imagine
ashes of your
goddamn
father and the
hubris.
temples. Or what is it? Herodotus at the bridge. That's what's better
Yeah,
to die for.
right.
Is the collection of, I don't even care if they're lies.
Yeah.
The things humans thought was important, magnet poetry edition, I don't care.
Yeah. No, and I recall once somebody was challenging a librarian, and he said, well, suppose somebody gave you a subscription to the Washington Gay Blade, which I think was a weekly,
Yeah.
LGBTQ. I'm not sure it's around anymore.
Oh, I'm sure
And
not.
the librarian looked at him, and she said, we would say thank you, and we'd put it in the periodical section. And imagine the hubris that I'm going to
Take
collect
it back.
everything that there is
Washington
to
Blade
know.
still exists.
Does it?
Yep.
Okay.
Hyattsville, no. Okay, that's a bummer.
What?
Hyattsville mayor dies by suicide.
Oh, yeah, well.
It's the oldest LGBT thing in circulation in the United States. That was what I
Are
wanted
you
to say.
serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
No, me either. That's why
I'd only ever seen one in a
Yeah, no, but that's the perfect answer for a librarian. Just I don't know. I stacked the books in the order that none of you understand,
absolutely,
and like a third of you could
absolutely.
remember the name of.
best line in the goddamn movie. What are they? They're the scrolls from Alexandria.
I don't know which movie, but I'm willing to back you up so far.
So, anyway, when they find the treasure.
Ah, yes. I do believe that.
That's what it means to be human.
Once. Yes.
You burn a library in my presence, you're going to get hurt.
There's something to be said for standing in the cathedral in Cologne, looking at the war memorial and understanding whatever house of God this once may have been, it is better served being this now and here.
Yeah.
No, libraries are a sacred institution, and I don't care what fucking books are in there. I don't care what they say. They belong there, and they need to fucking stay there, and y'all need to mind your
You want to
business.
know how important books
Pile
are?
them up, catalog them, scan them, make them available.
Yep. The picture you've all seen of Nazis burning books,
Yeah.
or in the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, that's the one I remember.
That is the Library for Transgender Studies, erected by one of the early German doctors working on transition surgeries.
Yeah.
When it wasn't just, I don't know, boss, you're a king and I'm going to guess a lot. Good luck. So, no, this was, and yeah, that's what banning or burning books means to me is, like, you want us back in the dark age. Like, one of my favorite lines from Rage Against the Machine is, you don't got to burn the books, you just remove them.
Yeah. So, just
Yep, and that's what they're doing.
when you're busy burning books, now you
Dumber-
understand why I simply call you a subhuman and walk away.
Dumber
Fair.
and slower and able to answer less questions, which is exactly what humans have never ever needed.
All right, so
But it's
we-
exactly
full of
what
fun.
your political masters
Like,
want.
comment, subscribe.
They want a subservient population, and that's what you are making
It's why we
yourself
drove
into.
the critical thinking out of schools. It's why everybody should listen to whose speech at Berkeley about once the operation machine becomes so odious and gears. And,
Yep.
all right, so let's discuss Dan Bongo.
I think
Ah,
it's
yes.
Bongino.
Nah, I don't. have the foggiest.
Bongino kicked from YouTube.
For the best of reasons. Same reason Trump was for the other one.
So anyway, I love this. He had been temporarily suspended, right? And he was temporarily suspended for just over and over and over again spreading this absolute idiot misinformation on COVID and everything else he could think of. And then he attempted to upload a new video.
From a ghost account.
Yep. And they banned him forever.
Yep.
Good.
So they took his thing down. He no longer owns the content or the, right? He's gone.
Also, the
So, one
co-founder
down.
of the garbage, right? Not Conservapedia, but the alternative to YouTube when you get banned from YouTube.
If a channel is terminated, the uploader is no longer able to use, own, or create any other YouTube channel.
It's not often I'm ever going to say anything nice about any of the streaming services, but I have fully supported several times when they have banned accounts or suspended other people for having someone on who was already suspended. Because that's what they have, right?
Yeah.
What they have is a violation of terms of services, which in the United States is a felony.
So, anyway.
All right, so
One
I
down.
need some good news. Tell me about Boomer Rex's About Damn Time.
Please.
So, Marcus Malley, 47, Fincastle, Virginia. He's the guy who wore the white cowboy hat with the flag on the underside and the Trump 2020 on the front and so forth. Anyway, he carried a black canister consistent with bear spray, sprayed a number of law enforcement personnel, additionally assisted a second person by giving them a canister of bear spray, and they went on to spray some more
Of course.
law enforcement personnel and so forth. So, in any case, he's charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers, using a dangerous weapon, or inflicting bodily injury, civil disorder, engaging in physical violence in a restricted building or grounds, and he has been ordered held without bail.
Good.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah, no, I love hearing these fucking assholes getting their comeuppance.
Yep. So I got a couple in the same kind of vein.
Yeah, so you have a couple of stories that I didn't get because you had to write it out by hand. So
Yeah.
tell me about these.
Okay, so you remember the cop that was fighting with they already had their they already had their black suspect handcuffed and in the police car.
Oh God.
So this guy's lying on top of him, waving around the thing of pepper spray and so forth. And one of his
Shit, I'm on the wrong side of this. I mean, I'm not, but I've got an answer for the wrong side of this.
So anyway, one of the other police officers on scene grabs him. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is the one where he ends up assaulting
The young lady
female
snatches him up by the duty
police
belt,
officer.
pulls him off just like you do.
He grabs her by the throat,
Yep.
slams her against a car.
Yep.
So anyway, there was a big thing in their little county meeting
Oh
today.
yeah, that made me
Where
spit teeth and
the
blood.
head of the Fraternal Order of Police stood up, tried to defend him.
Oh, of course they did.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Well, no, they pivoted to the captain's interview.
Where
when
he had said it was disgusting.
the fucking
How could you
video's
watch
out,
the
bro.
video?
Everyone
Yeah.
saw that video. It's like when the Chicago cop went behind the bar and beat up the little bartender. Everyone else has already seen this video, man.
Yeah, we've decided it's
So-
disgusting. So,
Any human with eyeballs is uncomfortable by this.
yep, absolutely. There's no way that this was acceptable behavior on the part of a police
especially
officer,
not from a human in
period.
a leadership position.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
So, fire him.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks to me like he might be subject to criminal prosecution.
Yep.
So, anyway, but that wasn't bad enough. Because then their little representatives got in a fight with each other,
No.
telling each other to shut up and
Or not
so
tell me
forth
to shut
and
up.
so on.
And who's a tough
Yeah,
guy?
I'm pretty
and-
sure this is in Florida. I'm going to check. But we're going to have a new segment
Oh, yeah.
called Florida. That's all it's going to be called, is Florida. And we're going to bring you the craziest shit that happened in Florida today.
This is
I
part of
like that because Florida's so much fun.
Yep.
Florida's part of the reason I can't leave the continent.
Why is
Not in a
that?
rude way. Like permanently.
Oh, it needs fixing?
No. I just understand the Florida people.
Okay, I get
Like, this is the only place any of us make any sense. What are you gonna go home where your ancestors came from? Like, not in the rude shouted at someone else way. Like,
This
in
is
the,
where you're
you
going to go
actually
grab an
pack your
alligator by
shit.
the tail and wrestle it, and yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not from fucking Florida, but
No,
I
I
lived
mean,
there and I
I've seen
can-
some Florida man stuff I thought was, you look at it and go, boy, was that stupid, but I'll bet it was fun. So,
You were told by somebody when was it cousin or brother hunts a pig.
what?
You were told by somebody once when my cousin or brother
Yeah.
goes to hunt a pig,
Yeah,
you should build a fire.
yes.
None of the people I know from Ireland would understand what it means when a Hawaiian tells you that.
Yep.
No, that we. This
There's a
is the
certain
only place we
diversity in
make
Florida
sense.
it would be sad to lose.
No, there's a certain diversity in everywhere, right?
Peace, but it kind of stands out in Florida.
The Midwesty bits where they have the weird words that aren't a boot, but all my brain can hand me is letter, Kenny. God damn it.
So anyway, and I've got one more.
Yeah.
Which is, did anybody ever wonder where the guy who took the hostages in the synagogue in Texas got the gun?
I mean, I know this, but I read the story.
Tell me.
We found it. He bought it a couple of days before from a guy. So anyway, here he is talking to this guy. The guy says, what do you need it for? And he says, well, I need it to intimidate people who owe me money. And so I'm sitting there and I, so you're, I think you just became an accessory before the fact.
Yeah.
Right? So you might not want to sell it to
I
this
wouldn't-
guy.
As a human that has owned firearms, I would not sell a firearm to someone who said that.
Who said
to me.
something like that. Yeah. Well, apparently he's not that smart. So he went ahead and sold it.
Cool.
And so now he's up on federal charges.
Good.
And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute. This was a private sale. The hell
Same
kind of
state?
What?
Same state?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're in Texas.
They go on federal terrorism charges?
What?
They go on federal terrorism
No, it
charges?
turns out he was a felon. He couldn't have the weapon he sold.
Oh, fuck,
So
man.
they got him screwed to a wall.
Yeah. Don't,
Anyway.
felons, don't touch gun. Don't be in the room with a gun. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Anyway. So now we know where the gun came from, which I think is kind of cool.
All
Yeah,
right,
didn't
so-
we also pop 2 kids in the UK over this?
We
appear to have been
popped 2
some-
more people in
Yeah.
Texas, I think, but I haven't seen anything about for how long.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so, we had the same.
We'll keep you up to date.
So what's going on with you got an Omicron update tonight or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Have you heard of stealth Omicron?
I did. I didn't read anything about it though. 'Cause I
Okay.
figured you'd tell me about it.
It's variant BA2.
Yeah, that's literally we have now exceeded.
Everything yeah. Okay. It appears to be harder to detect. Other than that, it appears to be very much like Omicron in terms of being, damned contagious
It's
and
seeming a lot like
relatively mild for the vaccinated. It's the dominant variant in Denmark.
That's
So,
its spread
you know,
rate was interesting.
yeah, this
so I
makes
might
it
know a
pretty
little
damn
more.
contagious because it's competing with Omicron,
Yeah.
right? So, anyway, good and contagious. No
Um,
evidence.
Okay, good and contagious and hard to detect are 2 odd. Like that's an odd pairing.
My guess is, and nobody has said anything yet that I know of, that the reason
Higher
it's hard
viral
to
load?
detect, no. I think it's going to turn out that one of the changes deleted something that the tests were looking for.
Yeah, that
right?
makes sense.
So, and probably not anything important. It was just something
Yeah.
that they all had and
Had
the
a high
tests could look
reaction
for.
rate, ergo.
Yeah,
We stopped looking once we found that.
right. So anyway, we'll see. But at the present time,
Yeah, because I was
Very
thinking
contagious.
about if it's retreating up the nasal passage, that's going to make spread harder.
yeah.
So it's either
and
better
Denmark
at
would
spreading-
suggest. Well, Denmark had plenty of Omicron, and
Oh,
stealth
yeah.
Omicron is the
So
dominant
yeah,
strain.
that argued against having retreated up the nasal passage, which would explain the hard to detect, but
Yeah.
not. And yeah, that's what I
So-
kept running into was variants of that.
Okay. Anyway, so good and contagious, and apparently, kind of Omicron-ish as far as effects go. So if you're vaccinated, you're probably fine. If you're unvaccinated,
Say hi to Meatloaf
woe be unto you. So,
and that guy that's not getting a heart transplant.
yep.
And that's
I have no heartburn with
I
that at
know.
all. They won't give you a heart
I-
transplant if you're a smoker.
I've had to stop an organ transplant coordinator from having a fourth bottle of wine over wildly more mercantile decisions
Yep.
than that. And so, no, if you want a transplant, you need to be doing everything you can to give your transplant the greatest rate of success, because
Right, because that's how they choose
that's
who
what
they're going to
for-profit
transplant.
medicine means. That's why the French do
It's
twice
not
as
even
many
for profit. It's we're limited on the number of
Oh yeah,
transplantable organs, and they
but that's due to a money question at somewhere.
it's due to our unwillingness to accept lower quality organs. Is my
Yeah, this
understanding.
is my point.
You want to go research that and bring it back
I'm
tomorrow?
telling you, I can do that right now.
Okay.
That France does twice as many transplants as we do because they accept the marginal organs that we routinely reject. Right, 60%
So
of
bring
Americans.
bring that back tomorrow, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
it. Cool.
All right, so I've been hearing some interesting stuff about this attack on furries continuing. So we talked about that lady the other day who was talking about litter boxes in the school bathrooms, and now there's a new thing.
See, I want to
talking
laugh,
about-
but she attacked a group of people because it's at the intersection of a kink you probably know about.
Might have heard of.
Yeah, or at least when you Google it, it won't be like so weird. You're like, no one does that. Like the sounding people. I'm not knocking you sounders. I'm not kink shaming.
What's
But
a sounder?
so you take a rod and you stick it in your urethra.
I don't want to hear this.
This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's 2012 all over again when we were doing Defensive Marriage Act and 12 other things that it's not worth the political capital to make gays the problem again,
Yep.
because you might lose some voters.
Yep.
But furries are apparently exactly outside the firelight, I guess.
Yep.
So
They bring
they-
back all the gay ick.
Yeah.
And they don't.
For people that are spending more
And they're-
on a costume than you have disposable income, and if they're using it as a sexual aid, a dry cleaning bill that would make you die.
Yeah.
No, fuck off. This makes me angry beyond words.
Yep.
Well, and weren't they now talking about lowering the tables or something?
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Yeah, in the
lunchroom?
cafeteria.
Scumbaggy,
I love it.
wherever, Texas, represented
It's
by
Again, this is
someone
this
I
has to
hear
be,
eats babies.
It's got to be a contest. It really does. No, but it's the standard Republican attack on the weakest,
Yeah.
and that's all they're up to attacking. They're so scared.
What's the first line of they came for the what's it's, but I wasn't the other thing?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is the game. This is we can bash you about your sexuality or whatever. You will be a circular peg in a circular hole, or woe be unto you.
Yep. And they'll come for somebody else and somebody else
Yeah.
and somebody
Like if you're a
else.
problem, and again, it's why a lot of things.
No, there's nothing wrong with being a furry, and those people who are being shitty about this need to shut the fuck
There's nothing
up.
wrong with the weird inflation people. I apologize for calling you weird, just not my jam. So
Yeah.
it's kind of shocking.
Can we avoid talking about that one too?
We can talk about exactly, but no,
Okay.
I'm offended. It's like when Trump
I-
gave his milk
yeah.
toast order to ban the trans kids when they're already fucking there, man, doing a job you
Yeah.
don't want. Shut the fuck up. Who the fuck
Absolutely.
are you? God damn it.
No, it's like the original ban on the gays,
Yeah.
right? And I served with people I knew were gay.
Oh,
They were
absolutely.
fine
God, yeah.
soldiers.
And if you didn't, that means people make
We would have
decisions
marched
about you.
shoulder to shoulder into hell if that's what it fucking took.
No, but that's the thing. The people who think they didn't serve with gay troops, that means someone decided you were fragile and they protected you
They
from the
protected
reality
you
of the
from that
world you
knowledge.
live in. And if I ever knew that, I would cry.
That my fellow soldiers didn't trust me enough to bring me in. on
But they
the
knew
trip.
I wasn't strong enough to back them in every fight.
Right.
But I'd back them in the fights I could understand, and maybe I needed some help, and maybe there would be time at some point if it came up. But otherwise, they didn't need to make my job harder.
Yeah.
Like, they worked harder to make your job easier, and that makes you the
Yeah.
problem.
And the appropriate response to finding out that one of your fellow soldiers is gay is he's my brother
I
in
got a brother.
arms. Get the fuck off his
Oh, yeah.
back.
That's an easier line than No, exactly. I love the apocryphal story of the SEALs sending back the survey on Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Oh God.
With "We got a gay, he kills bad guys good," signed in crayon. Like just
I hope
across
that
the thing.
story's true.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally one of the few things that makes me not just be like, oh, there's a microphone. We should cancel the SEAL program. We should go back to UDT. Like there's something broken in the center of SOCOM.
So, are we ready to move on to our special segment for the
Absolutely.
Bummers with Risen.
No, actually.
I know this is that's why I was.
I mean, it ends in a bummer, but
Yeah,
not
it's-
for the reasons you think.
It's American history and it's not the future, so yes.
So my intent was to look up what was going on in asylums in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. Okay.
Okay.
But as I was looking into asylums and stuff, this stuff kept popping up. All right. So this name, Kirkbride, it kept popping up. So the Kirkbride plan, Kirkbride buildings, Kirkbride's vision. Right. So I'm like,
Yeah.
who the fuck is this Kirkbride dude? Right.
Okay.
So tonight we're going to talk about Kirkbride because
Hell yeah.
he's part of why we have asylums, but for all the good reasons.
Really?
Oh my God!
You're going to
this-
tell me about somebody we don't need to dig up
This
and
is
put in a septic
right.
tank?
No, this
I mean,
man.
I was
should
just
be
gonna fill the septic
hailed-
tank around him.
This man should be hailed as a hero for the things. Anyway,
All right,
let's
so we
get
got
into the
psychological
story.
Omar
Well,
coming
you
up,
found something I never heard of.
and
Let's
here's
go.
the name that ought to ring out. What's the name again?
Kirkbride.
Everybody loved Kirkbride, and I don't know.
So who is this man that is so deeply embedded in the early mental health care?
When you say
system?
early, what time period are we talking about?
Well,
Okay.
we're getting
Okay, I'll shut up.
So Dr. Thomas Story Kirkbride, that is his legal
Okay.
name, was born in 1809.
Okay.
He was a Quaker surgeon who had experience in dealing with the mentally insane. His ideas of helping the mentally ill included treating them with respect,
Yep.
kindness, and sympathetic care. He believed that large, sprawling buildings where every wing could get sunlight and be open to fresh air was best.
God.
He encouraged those to build these places in the countryside for privacy and space. Right.
Yeah.
And
These
to avoid the-
facilities were built to hold 250 patients at a time, max.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this is where you're seeing the later problems.
Yep.
He called his ideas moral treatment and encouraged calling these facilities hospitals and discouraged terms like asylums and lunatic.
I'm getting a doctorate in divinity and doing moral treatments.
He received
In a good
his
way.
Yes.
medical degree from the University of Pennsylvania in 1832. After running his own practice for several years, he became the superintendent of the newly established hospital for the insane in 1840. His prior training and experience at Friends Asylum and at Philadelphia's Pennsylvania Hospital made him perfect for the position. He was a founding member of the Association of Medical Superintendents of American Institutions for the Insane, which was a forerunner of the American Psychiatric Association, starting as secretary and then from 1862 to 1870 as president. In 1854, he published a book called On the Construction, Organization, and General Arrangements of Hospitals for the Insane. This was a big part of the Kirkbride plan and also provided blueprints on how to properly construct and arrange hospitals for the mentally ill.
Cool.
So his whole life's purpose was to make places where the mentally ill could be properly cared for in early stages of their illness so that more of them would not need long-term care. Okay.
Yep.
So his intent was to bring people in early, to give
Early
them this
intervention shortens treatment.
to give them this open place, right,
Yeah.
where they could
Yeah.
be safe. There was 250 patients,
And
max.
restack their lives in a bearable manner.
And
Moral
then
treatment.
some people
Yeah.
who needed longer term treatment, they had the
A place for
ability
that.
to be here and to stay here and to live happy, healthy, fulfilling lives. He even believed that there was no reason why these people shouldn't necessarily live in opulence. Why shouldn't they be able to enjoy the finer things? They're not crazy because they read a book about philosophy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, these people
They
need to
took
be
no part in
treated
this.
appropriately.
Yeah.
And
Kid gloves all the way down.
holy shit, man.
Yeah.
This dude was amazing.
And we're talking 1860s, 1870s.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, no, this guy is pretty crazy.
So during a period of religious revival, which would have been all about, bootstraps and personal responsibility from historical texts that lack any
Yeah.
credential ability.
So I'm gonna read a snippet from an article, "Therapeutic Architecture" by Lindsay Harvilla, and it was written in fall of 2010. Now, it says, due to overcrowding in Pennsylvania's first state hospital for the insane in Harrisburg, the General Assembly felt it was necessary to construct 2 additional hospitals in the state of Pennsylvania. Legislation passed the Act and Act 49 of April 13th, 1868 advised the building commissioners to construct a Kirkbride building.
All
so
right.
this was the first building that they built based on his blueprints and suggestions. The building was to comply with the standards proposed by the Association of Medical Superintendents of American Institution for the Insane, which he ran.
Right.
And the organization founded to improve treatment of the mentally ill, as we know. Commissioners spent a considerable amount of time visiting different places in Pennsylvania to choose the ideal location for the hospital. The site eventually chosen was a farm owned by former Danville Daniel Montgomery. The farm was near Sisquatchian River, furnishing fresh spring water as well as a railroad, providing transportation. Within the farm, a supply of stone, clay, and limestone would aid the construction of the hospital. The price tag on the 250 acres of land and all the amenities of its location was $26,600. Once the location was purchased, they began to build their Kirkbride building. So one of the other things that he encouraged was to have these people work like farms and such, right?
Yeah.
So they would learn how to plant and how to grow and how to raise animals and how to do all these different things. So they would almost like create their own food and that sort of
Absent
stuff.
the criminally insane. Yeah, no, this
Right.
is a brilliant idea. This is. No, I am finding myself wondering what happened, and I'm wondering if it isn't World War One and the period immediate up to it that inured us to what we were about to discuss as casualties of the modern era.
So as we discussed, he was the son of a Quaker. The faith focuses on the possibility of God's presence and action in every mode of life. Quakers also empathize social testimonies such as the peace testimony, the testimony of simplicity, and the testimony of equality. The peace testimony opposes war and seeks expression of love and justice in a world of conflict. The testimony of simplicity acknowledges that God wishes to have center and order to life and seeks a world of material simplicity. The testimony of equality recognizes the importance of brotherhood and sisterhood and the belief that God loves all people. Quakers are also taught to love and respect those considered inferior or alienated by society. So with these tenets, he moved forward to put these into the care of the mentally ill.
Hey, mad love to the Quaker theories.
Yes.
And
And
I've
he
never
did
met
a
an
brilliant
asshole
job.
Quaker, so like, you're doing better than most.
He was a man without equal, okay? And he was well loved and well liked and well respected by everybody of that time. He was a modern hero of sorts, with everything he did for these people.
Yeah.
No,
And
in fact, I
because
sent
of
people to
him,
look.
they built in every state had at least one of his
Oh my
So
God.
so when you're driving around the country and you see these huge sprawling villas, some of these are based on his blueprints and were built. So these are Victorian style, beautiful places. They're huge. And you know, the intent is for it to be healing, right? So you got these bright windows, okay? You're getting sunlight coming in. You get fresh air flowing all the
If
time.
I was the kind that said rosaries, I'd be saying to Kirkbride, this sounds like one of the few genuinely good humans we've ever made.
Oh yeah.
Like this and one Italian is why I believe people can like believe in God and not be scum.
Right. So he had a huge hand in what's the word I'm looking
That's
for?
revolutionizing.
Revolutionizing the mental health care
Like
system.
inventing, because the
Sure.
rest, like previous sounded like warehousing.
Yeah. If there was
and,
anything.
and part of the problem
And at the
was
family level, what do? You have to lock them in
Right.
the back room once they're dangerous and crazy.
Yeah.
Right, once they're crazy, if they show you danger, you have to treat that.
Yeah.
right.
No, and that's still true. If they're dangerous, you
Yeah.
have to confine them.
No,
I'm sorry.
yep.
You can find ways to interact, great. But
No, but I know a young airborne troop who was disturbed by having found a crazy aunt out in the stalls with the other animals when that's what you do, man. Like, when that's the answer, like, and I
And it's a
understand
shitty
it's
answer.
disturbing,
Yeah.
and I understand, like, it's the worst because I understand how everyone in every part of the equation here felt.
yeah.
And then my broke ass chair tried to dump me face first into the round
Yeah,
table.
that
That would've
was
been
kinda
funny.
Fuck the both of
Did you notice that was a choral reading?
That's cool. Eat
Everybody's rooting
some-
against you,
eat some
asshole.
chili next time. See what happens.
Yeah, so basically the war came
Okay.
and that caused
Okay.
money to not
Yeah.
and what they ended up doing was instead of keeping to his 250 patients, some of these buildings at their max held over 2,000 patients, which is not what they were built for,
No.
and
Well,
not
that's
what
what
they
happened
were
in my
meant
high
for.
school.
So his beautiful vision kind
Yeah.
of slowly started to crumble as they started defunding, as they started
Going
putting
eight
money
to a
towards
room.
towards the war effort, and as they people were coming back and now
Yeah,
they
and-
had problems, so now you got veterans and they were all just being
I-
shoved in there.
There is a coarsening effect to every society immediately post every war.
Yeah.
Because you're reintegrating the kids you can reintegrate who they've seen some shit, and yeah, fuck them. Like things are bad everywhere, man. Like, and yeah, World War One especially. That's when you first start seeing machine guns and.
But I'm
real
gonna be
use of
honest with you, I
artillery.
think if I could pick a time period, if I was mentally ill to be mentally ill in,
This would have
it
been
would
it.
be in America in the
Yeah.
late
I was
1800s.
gonna say if I could die exactly when, when it went bad.
Yeah.
2 days before that.
You want to be one of the first occupants of the first Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Well, it's Kirk what?
Kirkbride.
Kirkbride design.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, if I had an option right now, if I had all the money in the world, I would get this book. I would build these facilities again, or find the old ones and revamp them. Right?
Who's the idiot architect that everyone's all about that made the house with the water?
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, Kirkbride's a name that should ring out louder than that. Who's it's made some fine buildings, I guess.
Oh, fine.
No, just
Yeah.
of the people I could like quickly think of off the top of my head that
But
we make much of.
right,
Yeah.
this is such an amazing person who
Yeah.
has been lost to history,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
repugnant to me that we would have just kind of not really whitewashed, but just kind of slapped over it and just like
Yeah.
mental health and whatever, and his plans worked.
Yeah.
It helped. It was lower cost because you had people, who were getting cured earlier, okay? And people who were learning how to handle their symptoms and that sort of stuff in appropriate environments. And they were able to go home and go back and live as normal a life as you can with these sorts of whatevers. But
you didn't have to make
happily, right?
decisions immediately when there's a problem, and
And the people who could not go back or could not be fully cured were treated with respect and dignity. So one
And
of
had
the
a place
things
to live.
that they pushed a lot back then was like the hardcore restraints and
Yeah.
taking of food and
No,
all
I'd
these
assumed
types
it
of
was
things.
Bellevue's all the way down.
Yeah.
I'd assumed it was just until we started having real pharmacological
And he
drugs.
said
Restraints will do.
He said no. When they were forced to do restraints, they were much gentler and they were much shorter periods of time, right? Their goal was to stop this as quickly and safely as possible for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Rather than this long-term putting them in, locking them down, and leaving them.
See you in 4 days.
Yeah,
buddy.
whatever. It's solitary confinement. This wasn't. These were open places where people could come and go as they pleased.
No,
right
up until you said
they were able to work on farms. They were able to learn husbandry. They were able to do all these things that that we need to get back to this.
Almost.
Like, why did we lose this? This is a tragedy. And we talk about mental health regularly, and this is kind of
I never understood this was our high watermark.
The 1800s was our
I had
high
no-
watermark for mental
No, I
health.
have no concept of this. This is all new to me. I am so impressed.
I had assumed we had just gotten worse from when we did it as a snap kick and I don't know, we need a warehouse for crazy.
Yeah.
No,
And
but
we knew what to do, and then we rejected it because
I
It
want to
was
get this book.
expensive.
there's a
hard,
war on,
yeah.
and
I want to get this book. I want a
Yeah.
copy of this book, and I want to
Cool.
read it because I want to see
done.
what's going on with this, because this is like we said, revolutionizing and amazing, and we had it, and it was perfect, and it worked,
In a
and it was
period
cheaper,
where
and it
medicine was
better.
absolute garbage. We had people selling water for electrical treatments because there was no holds barred. This was the end of old school snake oil and the beginning of much of pseudoscience. And they didn't turn it into that.
No.
When that would have been trivial to do if they had the investments to buy huge swaths of land.
Yeah.
And did.
Yeah, but
It's out of copyright. You should be able to find it
yeah.
as an ebook or a PDF.
Oh yeah,
or-
I'm gonna look it up on Kindle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well-
because this is whoever's
Figure
taking
it out.
care of this book, I think deserves money, but this is important. This is an important part of history. So I'm going to get this book, I'm going to read it, and I'll kind of do a book report for you guys. So
Cool.
I don't know how long that's going to take, but I'll
Sign up for our Patreon, it'll happen faster.
yeah, if we can get some Patreon subscribers, I am more than happy to fast track this. But with all the other stuff that I do, if people aren't going to sign up for a Patreon, sorry, you got to wait until I get around to it myself.
Kick me the title of the book.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah,
So,
no,
yeah.
I had no idea we ever
Or give me a pen and I'll
conceived
write
of
it down.
this.
Oh, it's long.
It's long. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
called just so you guys have it again. It's called "On the Construction, Organization, and General Arrangements of Hospitals for the Insane."
Okay.
Just
And
love
it
how we used
explains.
to write.
It explains. Oh yeah, no. I've been trying to So the reason why I know he was well respected and stuff is I was going through this one article that had literal quotes of people who wrote letters about him on his death and all that sort of stuff, and how they felt, and it was amazing. But it's very wordy, and you have to sometimes you have to stop and reread it again, because with the way we talk today, it's so different from how they talked back then that you're like, wait, oh, I see what they did there. Now I get what they're trying to say. But no, I was just, my mind was blown, and I was like, I have to talk about this guy.
Yeah.
And so
That was fun. I really enjoyed learning about it.
From my original intent, but the fact that like I said, that this name Kirkbride, just everything I researched for asylums and such, his name kept popping up, and I was like, I need to look into this more.
No, my lead into this was Bummers with Risen, and oh my god, an entire beautiful thing America did once.
And then destroyed.
When she
And
gave a
forgot.
damn.
Good job.
Yeah.
When she could be bothered to care about Americans more than corporations.
Yep.
No, Kirkbride should be spewing out of everybody's mouths.
Certainly
when
if
it
you're going to
comes
talk
to
about
mental
it being
health.
Uh-huh. Anyone who ever wants to talk to me about, mental health, boy, I don't know.
Did you read Kirkbride's book? No? Then shut up. Go read the book and then let's talk.
Yeah, no,
Or at least do some research
The
on
other
it.
night when you were discussing your annoyance at the people who push religion as the simple, uncritical answer to mental health.
Yeah.
That the problem is mental health will almost never have a useful, uncritical answer other than run.
Right.
That's it. Like, something is either bad is going to happen or has happened.
Right.
Like, no. And it sounds like this person didn't think it had an easy solution.
No.
But that there was a solution.
Oh, yeah. And that was treating these people with respect and dignity.
Well, if nothing else, that
And
builds you a
kindness.
sift system to get the ones who, nope, they just need to die in a cage. They're unsafe. They'll pretend to be human right up until the minute they have you alone, and then they're whatever they are.
Yeah.
Right? The real monsters, the ones we want to pretend everyone is, so we don't have to look at ourselves and go, well, it's all kind of fucked up and on fire, but
Yeah, but here's a place where
bad
they
things happen to me. Why can't they take it?
this is a place where they were able to live and learn new things and be able to do things and take care of themselves and help take care of
Yeah,
others.
that was the that and the fact that they sent people out to scout good locations was just
yeah, because
gobsmacking.
in his description and these blueprints he explains you need to have sprawling lands for these
Yeah.
people to be able to go for walks and do these
Yep.
things, and they need to be able to farm lands and they need to be able to do this, and yeah.
There are brothers and sisters, and they fit better in a different society that we don't seem to be able to agree to stay at. So, the ones that aren't dangerous, cool.
Yeah.
They get put out to pasture. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mhm.
And we can come up with something to do with the dangerous ones, I guarantee.
Mhm.
So, no, this is one of the ones that has annoyed me in terms of things we break. We broke and didn't even hear it happen.
Yeah, nobody heard that crack.
Yeah.
No, because what happened is this led to, eventually too many patients and
Yep.
not enough people to care. People were trying to get out of working there. So all the good people who actually gave a fuck went and got better jobs.
We stashed all our old homies
They
there.
tried to do, nursing programs, right? So lots of hospitals do, you go work there and you can become a nurse while
Yep.
you're working, sort of thing, right? Learning on the
Cute
job.
idea.
Yeah.
So they did that to try to help
Yeah.
with the overcrowding, because if we can get more nurses and
Yeah.
they're trained. And they were the first, so the mental health institutions were actually the first to accept male nurses.
Ooh.
So they
Yeah.
started actually having programs specifically for men to be able to become nurses in these mental health institutions.
And in a
and
not
such.
rude way, I could see there being a benefit to that.
Yes.
Not trying to gender a job, just saying, like, orderly, like, who knows what they're doing is a wildly better
You're
thing.
removing the problem. When you have a gender-specific job, you've got a problem.
Yes,
Right. So anything that takes it away from being gender-specific is probably a good idea.
exactly.
Again, there are places where you could see different roles.
Yep.
Yeah, or different patients being assigned to male or female nurses.
Depending on
But-
their whatever.
Yeah. But
But-
the whole point is that the profession as a whole
Yeah.
needs both. Otherwise, you have some problems.
No, but I
Right,
think you've
so
changed
that
the
was-
entire tenor by having it being a nurse come towards you as opposed to an orderly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that was some of the stuff that I had been finding before I was like, fuck it, I need to find out what's
Yeah.
going on with this
Excellent.
Kirkbride
No,
dude.
thank you.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, no, he
We
was a
used
pretty...
to do it right. We could do it right again.
Thomas Story Kirkbride. Dr. Thomas Story Kirkbride.
Like, we don't even have to learn a new thing. We just have to
No,
do what
we
we
just
know
have
worked
to-
last time.
Kirkride.
Kirkbride. Kirkbride.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I am fucking thunderstruck. Thank you, Risen. This is probably
Yeah.
my new favorite episode.
Yeah,
I learned something new
absolutely.
today.
So, way to go.
So, all right, y'all. And that's all we got for tonight. But I'm going to keep doing research, of course, to see how...
Oh, I know what's coming and what's coming.
Yeah, coming is
We're
bad.
going to take his plans, right, and
Yeah.
his whole whatever, and we're going to now see how it falls apart and where it starts to fall apart
Mhm.
and
Yep.
where
Yeah.
and lead us up into the deinstitutionalization that we talked about.
Well,
last
and
time.
several social programs we need to put into place. So being growing old in America didn't mean growing poor in America.
Well, and that's another
Oh, yeah,
thing they
that-
started doing at one point, which
Uh-huh.
also overwhelmed these systems, is they started taking old people, took them out of the the nursing homes and such, and threw them into these beautiful insane asylums, and we're like, they'll live a much better life there. But they didn't add money, they didn't make more facilities, so they overcrowded them even more and made it even worse.
Yep.
And they took the most disadvantaged people. So
Oh,
some
yeah.
of these
No,
people
this
were
is-
so mentally whatever
Yep.
that they couldn't even speak up for themselves and say, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. And so,
even if they did.
so we're going to get into that more tomorrow.
Cool.
But yeah, we got some interesting
Like
shit
at best, they're
coming
going to
up.
give you a bar type answer of, well, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Right.
And thus leads to the invention of the homeless population. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you want to know what's wrong? We decided we could do it on the cheap, and then we were unhappy we got cheap product back.
So,
We
yep,
saved a lot of money, though.
that's the story
Gave
of
it to the
Kirkbride.
rich.
Why we're all rich, right?
And I want
Oh,
you
wait.
guys to remember this name, and I want you guys to
Yeah,
talk
will
about
do.
it. This is
Kirkbride.
important.
Yep.
This is important.
Excellent.
So, all right. Anybody
you.
else got anything to say before we
Good night, the internet.
take it sleazy?
Good night.
Apparently.
I learned something
Yeah,
tonight.
no, that's
No, good. I
enjoyed
did
the shit
too.
out of that.
It was actually fun research for me. And I know it took me a bit, but it was
No,
worth
no,
it.
no,
Once,
but I-
once I found this Kirkbride thing, I was like, no, I gotta
Well, yeah, I
dig down
gotta
this
dig,
rabbit
yeah.
hole.
That is so cool.
Sorry. All right. So love you all. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit that heart button, give us a review. Tell us if you like us. Tell us if you hate us. I don't give a fuck. Share with your friends. Share with your family.
I don't care more than anyone could not care.
Sign
Give
up
my
for,
cat $1.
sign up for our Patreon. You want to be a follower of the Barnabas, and that comes with bragging rights. So keep
Yeah.
that in mind. We love y'all, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night on BoomerRexTonight.